Welcome to our deep dive into minimalism.
Ah, yes. Minimalism.
We'll be using Fumio Sasaki's book, Goodbye Things, to kind of guide us.
It's a fascinating look at the minimalist lifestyle.
Yeah, and it's not just about like empty spaces.
Right, not just Spartan living.
It's more about understanding.
Why do we have so much stuff?
Yeah,
And discovering that freedom.
that comes with owning less.
That's it. Owning less.
So one of the things I thought was interesting was that Sasaki gives us all these real-world examples.
Yeah, these different ways to kind of embrace a minimalist lifestyle.
Yeah, it's like a lookbook almost.
Exactly.
For minimalist living.
And it shows that there's no one right way to do this.
Oh, absolutely. Like take, for example, Fumio Sasaki himself.
Oh.
He lives in what he calls a model minimalist apartment.
A model minimalist apartment. Okay.
And he's got this like airy mattress that can be folded up into a sofa.
Oh, interesting.
Very minimal tableware, and even like a Steve Jobs inspired uniform.
Yeah, to simplify that wardrobe.
Like a uniform.
Interesting how he draws inspiration from Steve Jobs.
Right.
Known for that minimalist aesthetic.
Absolutely.
It's like minimalism can apply to not just physical possessions, but to our routines, our decisions.
Oh, that's a really great point. And then there's E.G., who uses technology
Oh, yeah.
in his minimalist lifestyle.
Embraces technology.
Yeah. So instead of having like a traditional TV,
Uh-huh.
he has a head-mounted viewer
Right.
to minimize even more
Minimize even more.
physical items.
It's interesting how Hiji kind of challenges the idea that minimalism is all about rejecting modern conveniences. It's about choosing those tools that help us,
Right.
but not clutter our space.
And then we have a Fumi and T, who are a couple,
A minimalist calm.
and they focus on comfort
Comfort.
and what they call color minimalism.
Color minimalism.
So they create these multifunctional spaces,
Uh-huh.
and they have very like kind of curated wardrobe with calm colors.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think it shows how personal minimalism can be.
Yes.
It reflects our values. It
Yeah.
reflects our preferences.
Totally. Not just a strict set of rules.
Right.
It's about what brings you joy.
That's it.
And then there's Yamasan, who proves that minimalism can work for families too.
Oh, right. Families, too.
Yeah, so they really prioritize open family space.
It makes sense.
And even Yamasan's summer wardrobe
Oh,
has 8 items.
8 items. Wow. That's encouraging for people who think minimalism is too restrictive or not practical for family life.
Absolutely. It's
Making choices about what really matters.
Yes. What matters? Quality time, not just accumulating stuff.
And experiences.
Right. Experiences. So it's not about deprivation,
Yeah.
but about like...
Careful selection.
And then there's Kuda Etu. He's a minimalist globetrotter.
A globetrotter.
Travels the world with just one backpack.
With just one backpack.
One backpack. And he has these like multi-purpose items.
Oh.
Like a water filtration system and even this like Arabian scarf called a shema.
I've heard of a shema.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Very versatile.
It is.
And that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
Letting go of that excess stuff. Unlocks
Freedom.
mobility,
Living with less.
but experiencing more.
Okay, so we've seen all these like,
Inspires.
yeah, inspiring examples of minimalist lifestyles.
Yeah, but what about Sasaki himself?
Yeah, so Sasaki's own journey,
Right.
he's very honest about
Yeah.
his past struggles
Uh-huh.
with materialism.
Materialism, bro.
He describes himself as like a former maximalist,
Oh, wow.
constantly comparing himself to others and using possessions to feel worthy.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
His honesty.
Yeah.
How about the emotional toll
Yes.
of materialism?
It wasn't just about being like disorganized or messy.
Deeper than that.
It was deeper.
Yeah, he was trying to find validation through things.
And always chasing what he didn't have. Left him feeling
Empty.
dissatisfied.
And that's something he explores
Yes.
further when he explains the mechanics of unhappiness.
Yeah, and he talks about this concept of the hedonic treadmill.
The hedonic treadmill.
I found that very interesting.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Well, he's saying that
Okay.
we adapt to new things
Okay.
so quickly
So quickly.
that the happiness fades and then we need more.
Oh, so we're on this treadmill.
We're on a treadmill.
Always wanting the next thing.
But never truly content.
But that's human nature, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
I mean,
To want more.
we do. We always want more.
Yeah.
But how does minimalism address that?
Well, it's not about eliminating desire,
Okay.
but it's about shifting that focus.
Shifting the focus.
Minimalism encourages us to be more mindful
Okay.
of our desires. Question if they're really serving us.
Mm-hmm.
And find contentment in what we already have.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
You know.
And he talks about how we often struggle to predict our future emotions.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Leading us to buy things based on how we feel right now.
Yes. Right now.
Like right now.
And we've all done that.
We've all been there.
The impulse buy.
Yeah, I think that seemed like a good idea at the time.
But then it ends up
Gathering dust.
just sitting there.
Minimalism encourages us to pause and consider.
To pause.
Will this purchase truly bring lasting joy, or is it just a fleeting desire,
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
fueled by our current emotional state?
Like, we need to be better at predicting.
Our feelings,
Yeah, our feelings about purchases in the future. Sasaki also talks about how, like,
the purpose of possessions,
it's kind of shifted.
shifted over time. Think about it. In the past, things were about practicality.
Right.
Think about our ancestors and their stone tools.
Uh-huh.
Possessions served a clear function.
A clear function.
But now,
Now we acquire things. Not for their practical value, but for what they represent. Ah, so it's less about function.
less about function.
More about the value they add to our identity.
Exactly. We use things to show off our tastes,
Our status.
our aspirations.
It's this desire for self-worth through belongings that I think,
Leads to overaccumulation.
yeah, we end up feeling enslaved by our stuff.
Instead of empowered
It's like a vicious cycle. We acquire more and more.
to feel worthy,
Yeah, but then
we're burdened
by the upkeep
by the management.
of all that stuff,
Yeah, and this leads to stress.
dissatisfaction.
It's like our tools become our masters,
Uh-huh.
as Sasaki says.
But luckily, Sasaki doesn't leave us hanging.
He offers a way out.
He does. He offers
Minimalism.
a path to freedom
It's a way to break free from all of that,
from that cycle
of materialism.
and define what really matters.
So how does he define minimalism?
Well, he describes it as reclaiming your time,
Your energy,
mental space.
by choosing what you let into your life.
That's it. Recognizing that happiness comes from
Relationships,
our passions.
not from material things.
I think it's so interesting how he connects minimalism in Japan to things like
Information overload.
technological advancements,
Yeah.
which seems counterintuitive. But he's arguing that smartphones and digital services
Have actually enabled minimalist living.
Yeah, think about it. We don't need physical books or movies anymore.
We have digital platforms for that.
Our smartphones are like these all-in-one devices.
Right. Replacing so many other things.
We can access everything without physical ownership.
Creating space for a minimalist lifestyle.
So minimalism sounds great in theory.
But how do we put it into practice?
Yeah, what are some concrete steps?
Well, he offers a lot of practical tips in his book.
Right.
Like, start by discarding one item right now.
Just one.
Just one.
It sounds so simple.
It is simple but powerful.
It's about breaking that inertia
Setting the intention.
to declutter.
And another tip,
Yeah.
question why you're holding on to things.
Okay. Why am I holding on to this?
Ask yourself, are you keeping it because you truly love it? Or are you afraid to let go of the past?
Sometimes we hold on to things out of sentimentality.
Or fear?
Yeah, even when those things no longer serve us.
Minimalism is not about getting rid of everything.
Okay.
It's about being intentional.
So it's a process of curating your belongings,
Exactly.
like an art form.
That's it.
What other tips did you like?
Oh, he also emphasizes focusing on experiences rather than material possessions.
Experiences over things.
Think about the jam study.
What's that?
Researchers found that people were less satisfied when presented with too many choices.
More options doesn't mean more happiness.
It's the paradox of choice.
Too much is overwhelming,
Minimalism encourages us to invest in experiences,
like travel,
learning,
spending time with people.
rather than accumulating things that only provide fleeting satisfaction.
So it's about shifting our mindset from acquiring,
To experiences,
from owning.
to being,
What about those things we keep just in case?
the someday mindset.
Yes. We convince ourselves we might need it someday.
He encourages us to let go of that.
Trust that we can get it when we need it.
Release the fear of scarcity,
Embrace the freedom.
of detaching from possessions,
And he suggests considering buying as renting.
especially with things that go out of style.
It's a way to detach from ownership,
Be more mindful.
about our consumption habits.
Mm.
Do I really need to own this?
Or can I borrow, rent, find an alternative?
So we've talked about decluttering our spaces and shifting our mindset.
But minimalism goes beyond material possessions.
Right. He also explores this concept of information minimalism.
Oh, yes. especially relevant in today's digital age.
So it's like decluttering our digital lives.
Being more intentional with the information we consume.
It's like physical clutter. Information overload can be
Mentally draining.
yeah, and hinder
Our
our
focus.
productivity.
Yes.
So it's applying minimalism to our online world,
To our inboxes.
social media.
Even the news.
But does that mean going off the grid?
Not necessarily. It's about finding a balance that works for you.
Okay.
Sasaki suggests identifying your information triggers.
Things that cause stress.
Yes, things that distract you.
Like those never-ending email threads.
Or constant notifications.
On our phones.
Yes, once you identify those,
We can set boundaries.
unsubscribe from
Turns
emails,
off notifications.
limit social media.
So reclaim control.
Be intentional with your time.
It's like cleaning out that junk drawer.
Exactly.
Everything is more organized.
You can find what you're looking for.
Now, Sasaki also emphasizes
Gratitude
yeah,
as a key part of minimalism.
he talks about this Buddhist chant
The 5 reflections.
recited before meals.
A beautiful practice for cultivating gratitude.
What are they about?
They encourage us to reflect on where our food comes from.
Our worthiness to receive it,
The importance of mindful eating.
nourishing our body.
Yes,
It's a reminder to slow down and appreciate,
the simple act of eating,
and the interconnectedness.
of all things.
But this goes beyond just meals.
Right, absolutely. It's about appreciating the little things.
The warmth of the sun,
The laughter of a friend.
a cozy home.
Shifting our focus from what we lack to what we have,
There's always something to be grateful for.
even amidst challenges.
I read somewhere that gratitude can rewire our brains for positivity.
It releases those feel-good chemicals,
Dopamine, serotonin,
leading to happiness and well-being.
and that positivity can then
Spill over,
into other areas of our lives,
enhancing relationships,
improving productivity.
making us more resilient.
So it's like a positive feedback loop,
Gratitude breeds more gratitude.
leading to a more fulfilling life. We've talked about decluttering and experiences over possessions and cultivating gratitude.
But what about the tangible benefits?
Yeah, does owning less actually make us happier?
Absolutely. And research supports this.
Really?
Minimalist living can have a positive impact on well-being.
Like what?
Reduced stress, increased happiness.
Makes sense. When you're not bombarded by clutter,
And the weight of managing it all?
it frees up space for peace and joy.
Less clutter means less mental stimulation.
A calmer environment, a more relaxed mind.
You have more time for things you enjoy.
Speaking of energy, Sasaki also mentions minimalism can boost.
Focus.
And
productivity.
Is it because our brains aren't bogged down by all that noise?
That's a big part of it. When your environment is clear,
Organized.
your mental space follows,
Minimalism helps eliminate distractions
allowing you to concentrate.
on what matters: work, creative pursuits,
Or just being present.
being present with loved ones.
Yeah.
And Sasaki also mentions like
Enhanced freedom.
flexibility.
Yeah, is a major perk.
He connects it to things like
A tiny house movement.
the rise of remote work,
Detaching from possessions can unlock a life.
of greater mobility. You're not tied down.
By all that stuff.
You can relocate more easily,
Travel.
change your living situation.
Suit your needs.
So it's not just about living with less.
It's the possibilities that open up.
Yeah, when you're not weighed down.
By all that excess.
Gain the freedom to pursue a lifestyle
Aligned with your values.
and passions.
That's it. And this freedom.
Extends beyond physical mobility.
It's mental, too.
Emotional freedom.
Yeah, you're not constantly bombarded by
Advertisements.
societal pressure.
To buy more stuff.
You can define your own values.
Yeah.
And make choices.
That feel authentic.
It's breaking free from that consumerist mindset.
Reclaiming your autonomy.
How you live, how you think,
And this newfound freedom.
often leads to a deeper sense of purpose.
Meaning.
When you're not always chasing the next thing.
You have the space to focus.
On what truly matters.
Your relationships.
Your passions.
Making a positive impact.
On the world.
Sasaki also talks about how minimalism,
Deepens
yeah,
our relationships with other people.
which seems kind of counterintuitive.
I know, right? How does owning less better connections?
Yeah.
It's about shifting the focus.
From things to
Experiences. Genuine human connection.
you're not preoccupied with stuff.
You have more time and energy.
For those relationships,
Yeah.
you're more present,
More attentive.
not distracted by all that clutter.
So creating space for quality time
Being fully present.
in those moments.
It's not just about the time, though.
It's the quality of those interactions.
Yeah.
Minimalism leads to more
Empathy.
compassion,
You're not focused on.
comparisons.
Yeah.
You're more attuned to feeling,
Minimalism clears away the noise
allows for deeper connection.
with the people around you.
And those deeper connections lead to
Happiness.
a sense of belonging
We need those bonds.
or our well-being,
And all of this ties into
gratitude.
that increased gratitude and contentment.
When you're not always chasing,
The next big thing.
you start appreciating.
What you already have.
It's about abundance.
Not scarcity.
When you choose to live with less
You're more aware.
of those simple joys,
Yeah.
you appreciate what truly matters.
Shifting from
Wanting more,
to appreciating
what you already have,
this shift
in perspective.
impacts your
Contentment.
well-being.
You're not striving.
Happiness is within, in the present moment.
It's like we've been looking for happiness in all the wrong places.
Yeah, we've been told happiness comes from having more.
But Sasaki challenges that.
He really does.
True happiness.
From within,
Cultivating gratitude.
embracing simplicity,
Focusing on what matters.
living intentionally,
With purpose.
not driven by
External pressures.
that's it. And Sasaki also points out
Discarding things.
this
Discarding memories.
even suggests sentimental items
Before letting them go.
to preserve those memories.
Without the clutter.
It's a great technique for detaching.
From that sentimental value.
You can cherish the memory.
Without the item.
How often do we actually look at those photos anyway?
It's about acknowledging the memory.
Letting go with gratitude.
Minimalism is about being intentional.
With what we let in.
Physically. Mentally.
Experiences.
Over possessions.
That don't bring us joy.
That's it.
This has been such a fascinating look.
And minimalism.
From practical tips.
To the deeper philosophy.
Any final takeaways?
Minimalism is a journey.
Not a destination.
Find what works for you.
Create a lifestyle.
Aligned with your values.
It's not about deprivation.
It's about choice.
Choosing what you let into your life.
Physically.
Digitally.
Remember, happiness isn't something you achieve.
It's something you feel.
Gratitude.
Simplicity.
The present moment.
Freedom.
Contentment.
Joy.
If you had to start from scratch,
What would you bring back?
that's the question Sasaki leaves us with.
What are your values?
What are your priorities?
What brings you joy?
Less can be more,
Fulfillment comes from how we live.
not what we own.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Into minimalism.
We hope you're inspired.
To rethink your relationship with stuff.
Embrace a life of intention
Purpose.
and joy.
It all starts with a single step.
What will you let go of today?